Welcome back into our Trio Orthopedic studio. Well, Henry Boucha got his start playing on the frozen ponds and the river in Warroad. Those beginnings of playing with a Copenhagen tin led him to becoming one of the most entertaining and talented players Minnesota has ever seen. Marnie Gellner has the story of this Warroad legend.
Henry Boucha might be the most electrifying player in Minnesota hockey history. Big, strong, fast, and highly skilled. A full-blooded Ojibwe whose legend has been talked about for more than half a century.
Henry, at that age, was top five that I saw from 1959 until today.
It's from, 1969 to now, they're still talking about it. It's unbelievable.
That legend started when Henry was just a kid growing up in Warroad.
Great athlete in every sport. He was football, baseball, hockey. Baseball, he played shortstop, best pitcher, cleanup hitter. Football, he's a running back, plays kicker. Henry is a natural athlete.
But it was on the ice where he really stood out.
I remember Henry being a bantam goaltender first. He went from bantam goaltender to the next year being on the high school team as an 8th grader.
I can remember as a kid growing up and just being in awe of watching Henry play and his ability to just control the game, and he played practically the whole game.
They talk today about everybody having a system, and back then I never heard of a system. It was just his system. He played his system, whatever he felt like doing that day.
Playing with him, you had the utmost confidence in knowing he was back there on defense. You could do things you normally wouldn't do.
The most memorable chapter of Henry's story came in 1969 when he led his team to the state championship game of a one-class tournament. It was small-town Warroad against the big city team Edina. Henry's play had drawn a buzz that had never been seen before at this famous hockey tournament.
There was 14,000 fans cheering for Warroad, Minnesota, and I'm sure it was mainly because of Henry.
Late in the second period, Henry took a hit and was injured. He left the game, hampering Warroad's chance at a title.
Down there, went to the hospital, they cut his jersey off him. Then they had an Indian head right there. They took the emblem off it, and they cut it up into pieces, and the doctors and nurses took it for souvenirs, because Henry was so well known even at that time.
After high school, Henry continued on a fast track. He was a key player for Team USA that took home silver at the 1972 Olympics. He made a sudden impact in the NHL with the Detroit Red Wings before being traded to Minnesota. It was with the North Stars where Henry suffered a tragic eye injury that ended his career.
Well, when Henry had that injury, it took at least 90% of his vision. It was really difficult. He played for a while after, tried to play, but it definitely had an effect on him.
Through the highs and lows, the constants were Henry's humility and his dedication to the native community of Warroad.
I think the community know him just as Henry, a local boy, rather than Henry the Star.
Just a gentle, humble, down-to-earth individual.
The fact that Warroad at its heart is a Native American community, the name of the town, Warroad, came from the road to war. The fact that there was an indigenous man like him that was such a standout player, such a community icon, I think is as important as any of the other great hockey figures that have come out of Warroad, be it the Christians or the Marvins or TJ Oshie or anyone like that.
And then when TJ and Henry and those guys come around, I think it does really help with the identification of, well, he's like me. Like, they say I'm a native, and he's a native, so there is some of that.
Humble and kind are part of his legacy, and so is being one of our state's greatest players.
The thing I always think about Henry is his story could have been a tragedy. You could have written it as a tragic story in the fact that he came so close to a state title but wound up just short and wound up in the hospital. He came so close to a gold medal and wound up getting silver in the Olympics. He had his NHL career ended in such an undignified and sad way. He never portrayed himself that way. He loved telling his story. He never played the poor me card, I could have been this, I could have done this. He always just seemed thankful for what he'd been able to do and what he had.
I think it was Wayne Gretzky said that if it hadn't been for Henry getting hurt, he would have been a great one.
Sadly, Henry passed away in September. He was really looking forward to Hockey Day being in his hometown. Henry's here in spirit, of course, and is being honored in Warroad in multiple ways.